Testing 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's working. Thanks. Maybe a little more coffee before I get everything here. Hello, Kyoto, and Tobias, the test has not failed because you responded. So now that I know it's working, I can kinda, sorta, you know, hit this little button, and it stops the music, and now you guys can see my screen. So, hopefully, the screen is not cut off. The test has indeed succeeded. So, let me know, guys, if that... You're trying to confuse me, Tobias, I know it. I'm gonna have to tune out the screen reader for a sec. We're gonna ignore that. So, you guys should theoretically see the... You should theoretically see the screen, and hopefully, if I've set it up correctly, it is not trying to, you know, letterbox or render outside of the bounds of the screen. I have no idea. So you guys, yeah, you guys should see a checklist. Because this is all the stuff that I need to work on for this dev stream. We're getting pretty professional over here. And by professional, I mean that I wrote this at 2 AM last night before going to bed. And so, really a lot of preparation here. So, we are going to be restitching socially distanced main menu. That's what we're going to be doing this stream. So there's going to be quite a bit of programming involved, quite a bit of actual UI design and layout involved, though I'm not going to make it final in this stream. You can see a list of crimes. That's beautiful. Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, basically all we can really do is get started. I'm not going to keep reiterating that list this whole time, but I'm going to have it up on the other screen here, just so that I can kind of go between the two and check things off as we go, so that's why I have it up. But before I actually begin, I want to say, first of all, that I apologize for not streaming at all last month, September. A lot happened during September. I got pretty busy, a lot of personal stuff happened, and I just did not have the time or energy. And I feel like I owe you guys an apology because I did promise that I would be doing 2 streams each month, one open like this one, and then one would be Patreon only, for those of you who support me. And I... Basically, how I'm going to make it up to you guys is I'm doing 2 streams this month that are open, and 2 streams that are Patreon only. That makes up for the ones I missed, hopefully. And this is the first one of the month. I'm going to be doing them every Saturday, hopefully. I don't know. I haven't planned it out fully. Anything could happen, but I will notify you guys ahead of time if for whatever reason I can't stream, and I will reschedule. But I also have each topic planned out. So, like, this one is going to be the main menu, and I would have to check my notes, but I believe the next Patreon one is a Q&A plus some hacking gameplay stuff. So that should be exciting. So, I'm really glad that you guys have showed up already. I honestly did not expect with this little notice to have people show up, but it means a lot, and I'm really excited. Anyway, also a huge thank you to everyone who's subscribed to Patreon. I launched it this August, and I admittedly haven't been as active on it as I would hope. Like I said, I've been just really busy and haven't had time to sit down and actually, put things together on it. But I have plans for it. I have received the Steam Deck. I don't know why I'm holding it up to my webcam. I don't have the webcam set up. But, imagine me holding the Steam Deck in front of you guys. I have it. It's working. I've been able to get both Restitched and Socially Distant working on it inside the Unity editor. It's amazing. So, free Tim Hortons gift card. Maybe? I don't know how that would work, but maybe I could look into it for a contest. How is playing LVP on the Steam Deck? It is interesting. It's very unstable. I mean, I haven't tried LittleBigPlanet 1 or 2 because honestly I don't play them often anymore. I have all my stuff in LVP 3, which probably doesn't help. But it runs. LittleBigPlanet Union created a config file for RPCS3 specifically for the LittleBigPlanet franchise and Steam Deck. And so I'm using that. And then I also go into it and manually clock the GPU at, I believe, 800 megahertz, and it works. It works perfectly. It's just that occasionally the game loses controller input, and I haven't figured out how to get it back without restarting RPCS3. So that's the main issue I'm having with it. But other than that, it works flawlessly. So to answer that question. But that's for a future video, probably not even a stream. Yeah, it is a little annoying, but we'll work on it, we'll get it working. I really only bought the Steam Deck for development reasons and also for road trips, because sometimes I like to play games on a road trip, but mainly for dev reasons. I wanted to make sure that you guys can play Socially Distant on it if you have a keyboard and mouse hooked up to it, so, and also I have plans for other games out there. So there's that. But, yeah, for now we're going to be sticking to my main dev workstation here. That's what we'll be developing on. But maybe in the future I might do a dev stream where I'm actually programming the game on a Steam Deck, so that should be interesting. Anyway, like I said, big thank you to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. You guys actually bought my lunch today. Part of why the stream was a little late, a few minutes late, is because I actually ran out to Tim Hortons, grabbed myself a sandwich and a coffee to help me out for this stream. Last stream I did ended pretty horribly because I felt like I was going to pass out afterward because I hadn't eaten anything beforehand. So this time I have done that, and I owe you guys a thank you for, subsidizing that lunch. Anyway, I'm getting caffeinated. I'm ready to go. Let's freaking do this. Yeah. Yeah, I have learned my lesson in Kyoto. I am eating before the streams. Yeah. Tobias, at that point, you don't have a Steam Deck. Oh, man. Anyway, so you guys just saw the game boot up there. And I'm gonna do it again because I want to show you guys something really awesome that I've already done in terms of restitching the main menu. If we stop the game, first of all, notice how quickly it stopped, because that's important. And watch how fast it starts after Unity does its thing. It's pretty much instant. Now, this is on Windows, of course, so it's got an edge because we're not using Mono, we're using .NET Framework, and it's, more native to Windows that way and more optimized. But even on Linux, this is incredibly fast now. What I've essentially done, and what I've learned, is the way Unity logs work is incredibly expensive, and yeah, that is my Steam name. Okay. I unfortunately do have some static stuff, so I will have to keep domain reload on. I've heard that as incredibly slow. I'm also looking into the iterative compiler. I haven't been able to figure out how to get that working or what package to install, but I heard something about an iterative script compiler that is a lot more efficient in how it determines when to compile, but I don't know how that works yet. I've literally only heard of it through a Unite talk that I watched recently, but haven't gotten that far. Either way, what I did is originally we decided as a team to have a Linux-style loading screen, where you start the game and it spams a whole bunch of text as the game loads up to tell you what it's doing. The real Linux kernel will do that. It's the verbose boot mode, and I thought that it looked really cool at the time. Problem is, the way we implemented it, it used Unity's logging system, same system that powers this screen here. So what I did is I had a script kind of hijack the Unity log, and alright, so incremental compiler is built in. Okay, good to know. It's good to know you knew what I was talking about too, because I was worried. Anyway, I was worried that I was saying the wrong thing or something, but oh well. Anyway, the way it worked is Unity would log a message to the console, the game would capture it, it would write it to a buffer, and that buffer would get printed out as text in the game's UI, so effectively it looked like a big Linux console log. And it worked! I was seeing the game bootstrap Discord rich presence, and Steamworks, and loading save files, and, getting all of its stuff ready. Problem is, I found out recently through Restitched development that debug.log, debug.log error, debug.log warning, whatever you want to call it, anything that logs to the Unity console is incredibly expensive in terms of performance and I/O. Because you would think that it just logs to the Unity console, and that's that. But it also has to pick up a stack trace so you can see where in the code you actually screwed up if it's an error. It has to write to a log file on disk, which means opening that file and closing that file and, acquiring a lock on that file, all that wonderful stuff. And, of course, it has to update the editor UI, and, oh my god, lots of stuff going on. And it didn't help that along with Unity doing all of this stuff behind the scenes, my own code was parsing the error and, formatting text to display in the game's UI and all that wonderful stuff, and causing a layout recalculation. I am having a speech problem too. That doesn't help, but either way. It was just causing the game to chug while it was loading. Literally. How ironic is that the loading screen makes the game load slower? So you know what? We removed it. We replaced it with a static image. Orwell does the same thing. It actually doesn't have any studio logos or anything. Doesn't have a made with Unity dialogue. I, of course, will, because this is personal edition. But, it just has a little splash screen for like a second that says loading, then it cuts to a static image, and it plays a sound effect and fades in the main menu. So that's what we're doing. That's what we've done. And it's a lot faster. I also, on the topic of debug log, everything I did is completely fail to remember how to edit a skin. There we go. this user interface that I'm about to walk you guys into, if I can find my mouse here, the skin editor is a lot snappier now for the same reason that the game loads a lot faster. Because not only did I remove a whole bunch of, stuff from the game's loading screen to make it faster, but I also removed a whole bunch of debug logs in the first place, and most of them are to do with the skinning system, which this thing uses heavily. So this whole UI here is now a lot faster, which is awesome. Anyway, we're going to exit out of that. As far as other things I've done so far in this build of the game, with the main menu, you'll notice, if you actually remember what the old main menu looked like before this build, it had some more stuff on the screen, like in the middle. There was the game logo, there was some buttons at the bottom and stuff like that. That's all been moved or removed. Yeah. So basically the only thing that's the same about this build and the previous build is this section of the main menu. And that's going to change. We're going to be completely scrapping this. And so what I've also done is I've moved the game version up in the corner where you guys can't actually really get distracted by it. So this would be where the game's time would go in the desktop panel, but now this is the game version. Suckless Edition is because this build sucks less, and I literally mean that because the terminal is the suckless terminal, so that's funny. Anyway, settings, I have done some stuff in here. I have removed exclusive full screen, because I learned through Unity's development documentation that exclusive full screen only works on Windows. And on other platforms, it will just fall back to borderless full screen. And so, nobody uses exclusive full screen. I hate when games force you to use exclusive full screen. So what I've done is I've removed it. I've removed exclusive full screen. All you get is either windowed or borderless, and that's why this full screen is now a checkbox and not a drop-down. Another thing that I've done is I've added Gooey Scaling to the game, like manual Gooey Scaling, and this works sort of like it does in Hacknet and Minecraft, where you can choose to go automatic, and what it'll do is it'll try to adapt to your screen resolution with 3 different breakpoints. But you can also choose one of those. Breakpoints manually. So if you find that the automatic setting is too small for you or too big for you, you can go in and override it. So small is obviously going to make things appear very small, and medium is going to be what it was before with automatic at this resolution, but there's medium, and then large will obviously make things larger. So you'll fit less on screen, but things will be bigger and easier to read, hopefully. So that's what I've added here. But I'm going to go back to automatic, because automatic is what it should be by default. So yeah. That's not the thing I wanted to click. About an inch below that. There we go. So. Yeah. That's all the stuff I've done so far. Now, obviously, there's definitely more to be done, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this stream. So, let's see what we have to do here on this whole main menu restitching project. So, first things first. Oh boy, my text-to-speech on Chrome is not working. Okay, so first thing we gotta do, obviously, what that says is make the game load the first available save file if available. I obviously have most of the code in place to do this, otherwise we wouldn't have this please login screen at all. We wouldn't be loading save files. So let's just kinda get the party started here. So we're gonna exit out of the game, if I can find the actual button to do so. There we go. And I'm gonna hop into mandatory scripts. Yes, I am running Windows 11 in a virtual machine. This is got my graphics card passed through to it, and it is running underneath Arch Linux, because I refuse to use Windows except for Restitched builds and these dev streams, so I can use my Stream Deck. But the vast majority of the work I do now is on Linux. Welcome to the stream, NixKit. You are not too late. I have basically spent the last few minutes explaining, like, recapping development so far. Alright. So I am just going ahead and looking through this code here to find out where we're going. Now, interestingly, my JetBrains Rider has been a very bad boy. And my coding style for this... My coding style for this game has been completely overwritten. So, one moment here, because we're gonna need to go into my main system. That is not how you get to this. Why does searching this PC in the start menu not open this PC? Windows moment. I mean, I tried to do that in KDE, and oh great, it's gonna show recent files, and it's gonna show shit I've, might be confidential. I hate Windows so much, guys. So many features I wish it didn't have. Or that I could turn off. But we're gonna go in here, we're gonna go Alkaline Thunder. I need to pull the idea folder from Linux. Okay. See, the problem is I have to be very careful about recent files, because any one of them could be restitched, or they could be confidential socially distant stuff. Because now, you guys, big thank you to Hunter, a good friend of mine, and he has recently become a socially distant moderator and a project lead. He has been helping me out with a lot of legal stuff. What was that, Tobias? What did he say? I have no idea. I was talking over the screen reader. Anyway. With PC, we're gonna go C, users. This is another thing I really dislike about Windows. VT Shoot 'em Up Core. That's an old game dev project I made that I never finished. Anyway, another thing I hate about Windows is how it names Microsoft account folders. This should not be ALKAL. It just pulled the first 5 letters from my email address. Why? I don't understand Windows. Anyway, we're gonna go projects, and we have Restitch, socially distant, traffic panic. Likely because last month was when I actually started moving things around on my drives. Yeah, we have... I'm not opening Restitched. I almost did, but I'm not opening it. I don't want to... Alright, okay, weirdly enough, that did not actually apply the... I'm gonna restart Writer. Yeah, terrible. Denied. Overruled. We will not be starting Restitched. I'm still unsure why it is that my coding style is not applying. That is bothersome. Whoa, 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 what did I... bootloader. Get us back to where we were. The reason I was worried about that, and it looks like it did actually fix itself, thankfully, is I have... Okay, maybe it has not fixed itself. I will look into it later. Either way, what I've been doing is I've been changing the game's coding style to match Restitched's, and so I'm very pleased that it is not applying to the project itself. It should be, but it's not, and it's kind of making me annoyed. Anyway, back on track. I wasted a whole bunch of time trying to troubleshoot that, but, what we want to do is, inside this bootloader, we want to check if there are save files to be loaded. And we've already done that. So this variable here, basically we check to see if there are any profiles in the database. And based on that, I'm trying to figure out where we go. That was really confusing. I had two screen reader voices going off at the same time. Anyway, so game object menu to show equals has existing profile, and if has existing profile is true, then we go to the main menu. And if it is false, then we go to OOBE for first time setup. Alright, so this basically activates the menu. Great. So what we're gonna do is right after this, we're gonna say if has existing profile, we're gonna grab profile equals this.society.value profiles order by descending. So that's going to sort everything in descending order by whatever I decided, which will be modified. Nope. Last played. There has to be a time stamp for when the save was last played. It doesn't look like there is. Unless I'm really missing something about it. So we have game mode ID. 2-player info. We don't have a last modified date. That is really annoying. Damn. Okay, so here's what we're gonna have to do. to satisfy the code here, we're going to use created, and I'm going to do first. So that gets the most recent object. Okay. So from there, what we're going to do is we can reasonably assure that if there's an existing profile, then this menu to show is going to be the main menu. So we're going to grab the main menu component, and why is that yelling at me? That's a namespace, isn't it? Main menu controller. There we go. And we're simply going to say menu.login as past profile. And login as not defined. Or it is defined, but it is private because it's already something that's used. So we're going to use view profile for that. Alright, so we're going to head into main menu controller, and I'm going to add a view profile method. I'm loving all the Restitched jokes, by the way. I'm sure Trixel is too. Oh, you guys don't even imagine. rm-rf/-- no preserve root. Alright, private profile, current profile. Okay, so if current profile is not equal to the new profile, so we're only going to do any of this if the profile reference actually changes, which is very important here because we're going to be doing a lot of save system stuff and Tobias. Okay, so if we check if current profile is not null, then we need to load, or we need to unload the current game if there's anything loaded. Weirdly enough, you can't unload the game. I hear someone new in the chat that I have not heard their name before. How do you unload a game? I know we have load game, and we have save game, and we have new game, but do we not have an API for unloading? Oh, Logan Buckley is Fate. Okay. Alright. I recognize him from Trixel. It's good to see some Trixel people showing up. I don't understand why we wouldn't have... So yeah, there's save game. There's load profile. We have boot. Clear world. Create world. nuke. Is that the method I used to unload the game? Why did I call it nuke? Yep, that's being called from logout controller. Good point, Tobias. Why would I not call it nuke? But yeah, this is the unload game method. Alright, so we gotta nuke the world if there's a game loaded. Good to know, socially distant. Alright, where are we going here? Menu controller. Okay. So right here, we're gonna do, hopefully it's not a code routine, by the way. So our society value nuke. So we nuke society. That unloads the game. Right? And now we can say current profile equals profile. And now we get to heck if it is not null again, because this is where we're gonna load it. Now this is gonna be a coroutine, so we're gonna start it as such soon, but we're gonna do this current profile. Okay, so that's gonna load up the game in the background for us. Now let's see if that actually worked before we go any further. And I don't see any errors in the console, but I'm gonna go ahead and heck anyway. Yeah, I see one error, and that's Discord related. Or it might be Steam related, I don't know. Either way, it's something that doesn't matter. Okay. So that means we have loaded the game at this point. Which is great. So the next thing we need to do is make sure that we don't load the game when we click on this. We don't want to load the game when we click on this button here, because this button is going to load us into the desktop. Which is what we want, but the game is already loaded. So all we need it to do is say, okay, is there a save file loaded? Alright, great, start the desktop. Alright, so what we can do is we can take login as, and we can remove the as from the name, because we're no longer going to be logging in as anybody, we're just going to be logging in. So, it's me being strict. Why does enter not confirm this dialogue? I'm sorry, JetBrains, but y'all gotta work on keyboard accessibility a bit. Wonderful IDE, I love it, but please.
Cassie, I have 3 of your socks here. They're not matched.
Why is the rename dialogue not called Restitch? I have no idea what you're talking about. I have received 100 messages in the hat. That is new. It notifies me when I hit hat milestones? Okay. Oh god, no, I'm not gonna do that, Tobias, because then it would mean I have to learn Kotlin again. That's the only reason. Literally. Okay, so this login method is gonna go by. What? No language is more based than C# because it's the one I know. Alright, so we're gonna start this login coroutine. There we go. So. Alright, so I've removed the code that loads the game during login. That's awesome. Prepare the operating system context. So funnily enough, this no longer needs to be a coroutine, technically, but I'm gonna keep it as one. Usually when I pause, it's because I am trying to hear a message, or because I'm trying to read the code, or because someone outside is making a noise that I did not need to hear. Alright, so game version. Oh, well, great. That's not what I want, though. No, it's not you outside. It's people slamming doors. Anyway. Alright. So. Now when we click the button, it should confirm login and do nothing else. Except bring us into the desktop immediately. Okay. That works. Okay, we're in the game. Awesome. Now, there's a little bit of a problem here. Because if I log in, which, reminder, logging in now happens when you start the game, not when you select a user. So, by the time we have reached this screen and this button appears, we are already loaded into a game. If I load into the desktop and then log out, confirm it, I get taken back here, But now the game's unloaded, and so if I click this button, nothing's happening because the game's freaking out saying, hey buddy, you're doing stuff, right? You're trying to load me into the desktop, but I don't have a save file loaded. So I'm not gonna let you do that. So that's a problem. So we now need to basically figure out how to make it so that logging out doesn't actually log out of, or doesn't actually unload the save file. Because it shouldn't. That should all be controlled by the main menu now. Right. So, in logout controller, there's going to be a handler for the yes button, which is handle yes. And prepare logout. TMI, Tobias. But okay. Alright, so we're not going to shut down... Actually, yes, we are going to shut down the player. And we are going to save the game. We're going to hide the desktop. But we're not going to nuke the save file. Right, so this should be everything that we need to do. So let's test to make sure we can load into a game, log out, and get back in. We cannot. Why can we not? I know exactly why. I didn't drink enough coffee, that's why. I forgot to set is logging in to false whenever we're done logging in. That's great. Okay, so we have refresh profile. Okay, not where I want to be. I'm working on that. Okay, so this dot is logging in equals false. Now let's give this a try. Boom! We did it! So, why did I do that? Why did I make it so that logging out of the game does not unload your save file? It's because logging out is no longer the same thing as exiting the game. That used to be what it was. But now that's not the case. Logging out is now a gameplay mechanic. So, what I mean by that is, in Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm going to pick on that specifically, one of the things you can do as a player in story mode is you can go to your safe house, walk into your bedroom, and, climb into bed, and your character will go to sleep. And then you'll get a prompt that lets you quick save the game. But you don't have to do that. When you exit that prompt, your character wakes up, and it can be 6, 8, or 12 hours later, depending on the character you're playing as, because they have different sleeping schedules and stuff like that. But either way, they sleep for a bit and the clock advances forward. And logging out now in Socially Distant does the exact same thing. You use it to advance time forward. It'll end all of your programs, and, you know, if you're about to be arrested, it'll also end that. You'll evade the police. A whole bunch of gameplay stuff related to it, but logging out is now a thing you kind of need to do for gameplay, so I'm setting it up such that when you log out, you get to a lock screen. And you can choose to continue the game, or actually log out and unload the save file and go into a different account. So that's what we're going to be setting up next. So, we can mark this is complete, because we've made it work. We have finished the ability for the game to log in automatically. So, status, git add. Log into the first save file when starting the game. Awesome. Everything up to date. That is not true. Hang on a minute, I know what's wrong. I forgot to do some screen prep. It's a little embarrassing when you forget to, Oh, I forgot to commit. Oh, Git, my beloved. Anyway. Alright, so it's live on Git. Awesome. Next thing on the to-do list here. We need to allow deleting of accounts in the account list, but we don't have the account list yet. We need to allow creating new accounts in the account list, but we do not have the account list yet. Circular account photos. That is relatively easy to do. I haven't updated my Git room. Oh my god, Tobias, thank you. Wait, how did you know that we... Tobias, how did you know that I changed the Git remote? But you're right, I haven't. That should work, I'm hoping. I'm just going to test that out. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I will have to do that on Linux, too. Anyway, circular profile pictures. Easy. We need to find the prefab that's responsible for this thing here, and mess around with it a little. So we're going to go UI, we're going to edit main menu. This is really the quickest way I know to get to where I need to go here. And then inside main menu, there's going to be a prefab reference for user account. And user account has the background, it has the avatar, except that the avatar uses the incorrect. It should be using the avatar prefab that we have, because that already has circular profiles. This is what happens when things are prototyped and not thought out. First of all, what is this avatar's layout? Okay, it is 48 units by 48 units. Awesome. That's all we needed to do. Just replace the prefab reference. Alright, so that's a missing image. That's great. We're gonna fix that real quick. There we go. So now we have circular images. Now there are no images to actually put in that white circle, but we'll fix that later. I have a plan for that. It involves thispersondoesnotexist.com. Okay, so it's all well and great that we have circular profile pictures in the user account button, but we actually don't want to have that UI anymore. We don't want okay. It's hard for me to explain this, but the next thing we want to do is add time of day to the login, or to the login as screen. So what is the login as screen? Well, it's not something that exists right now in the main menu. So we're going to go into quick actions. UI. Edit main menu. And we're going to need to, first of all, Unity, buddy, can you please remember that a user interface is generally not rendered in 3D? Please. Thank you. Anyway, basically we want to make it so that we can have two panels on this whole interface here. And we want to make sure that only one is visible at a time, and we want to make sure that we display the login as panel when we have an account selected, and we display the account list when we don't. The game object-based UI system may be bad compared to UI Toolkit, but honestly, I don't feel like learning UI Toolkit. Anyway, we have this main area here, and this is probably going to end up going away. So status panel, that's fine. Actually, I'm going to rename main area to account list. And I'm going to create a new prefab, or not a new prefab, a new game object. I keep saying prefab when I mean game object, because I use prefabs so much. And we're going to call this lock screen. And I want to make sure that we set up a content size fitter. And a vertical layout group. We don't want to force expand. But we want to align everything to the middle. And I will mess around with spacing later on, but this is going to be our structure for the lock screen area. So now what we're going to have to do is in main menu controller, we're going to make sure that we can actually disable the different screens here. So under UI, I'm going to add 2 new fields. Lock screen. Okay, that just pissed me off. That is not how this is supposed to work. Alright, Ryder, no! Stop! I'm gonna have to reconfigure my IDE. My code style, because God forbid anything save when I do things. Alright. Line breaks. Arrangement of attributes. All of these should be set to never. 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 Now screw off. There we go. Oh my god, that... Every time I use attributes, that happens, and I don't know why people would want that. I mean, this is so much more readable. You can tell at a glance that these are attributes, and you can tell where the attributes end and the variable begins. Like, don't put them all on the same line. That looks awful. Alright, so account list area. Okay. So now we go ahead and we drag these game objects into place. No, inline is awful. I hate inline. I'll explain why in a different way. So let's consider... So here's why I hate inline attributes. Hate them, and will not allow them. So let's consider that you need a screen reader to read, or not a screen reader, but a text-to-speech plugin to read these, like I do. Since these attributes are on different lines, I can read enough to tell that these are attributes and that I don't necessarily need to pay attention to them. If I do, then I can just click on them and read them. Like, that's a serialized field. Great. Awesome. But if I have them all on one line like this, in line with the variable, which is Ryder's default setting, I have to, if I don't want to read all the attributes, which in most cases I don't, I can't just double-click the line to select it. I have to actually pay attention and find the variable, highlight it, right-click it, read it. That just wastes my time. Completely wastes my time. I don't like it. So that's why I dislike these, inline attributes. Just, ugh. Hate them. Hate them. Hate them. Anyway. That aside, what we're about to do is we're going to... What we're going to do is we're going to create a menu state field, and menu state is going to be an enum that's private to the main menu. And the first state is going to be select account. The next state is going to be lock screen. That's all we need for now. And what we're going to do is inside here, we're going to do this.update UI state. And we're going to basically say if this.current profile is equal to null, then we're going to say this.menu state equals menu state.account select. Otherwise, we're going to do lock screen. And I realize that there's probably a cleaner way of doing that, but for now this will work. We're going to get rid of the braces here. There we go. And what we're going to do now is we're going to say this account select, really, account list area, game object set active, and we're going to set it active if the menu state is equal to select account. And likewise, we're going to do this lock screen game object set active when the menu state is lock screen. There we go. And that is the last of the coffee for the stream. Right there. Okay. So. So now we're going to switch on the menu state. If we are on the account list, then we're going to refresh the profile list here. So this is update lock screen stats. This will be used later on to basically allow us to set the player's name and their profile picture and all of that stuff in the UI, but we don't have that all set up yet, so we're not going to worry about that. But the hypothesis here is that when I start the game, it's going to basically go into a blank main menu with nothing to do but open settings and exit the game. That gives us a blank canvas to build a Windows 11 style lock screen, and it is doing exactly that. So, that tells us that everything with our little state machine here is working. So let's start with the time of day. So we can start by adding some text. And I'm not going to do it the way Unity expects me to by creating a text element from this right-click menu. We're going to do it manually because that's just how I roll. time of day, and we're gonna do text mesh pro text UI. And as a placeholder, we're gonna do 12 o'clock PM. And we're gonna go bold. And it's 36 right now, but we're gonna do 48. So that's gonna be our time of day. Now the day itself, day of week. I'm gonna go down all the way to 24. I'm gonna disable bold. What the hell? Okay, bold was disabled. What? Text Mesh Pro, are you okay? You wanna talk about it, buddy? What is happening? Why is it not disabling bold now? Disable it! Okay, this is drunk. I don't understand. Wednesday. There we go. Okay. I think I know what's going on. Okay, so this little green or whatever line is indicating that this is the hot item and it's got keyboard focus. But it's a button. It doesn't need keyboard focus. At least not in this case. Okay, so we have Wednesday. Great. Alright, so let's get this time of day and day of week working here. Now I have to apologize if you guys hear any weird background noises. Parents are kind of doing living room stuff in the background, and the mic might pick it up. Not really anything I can do about that, unfortunately. It is what it is. Alright, so we're gonna need void update. And under update, we're gonna check if our current state is lock screen. And what we're gonna do is, because the clock is constantly ticking, we're going to have to actually constantly update the text using the value in the core. So we're going to grab the current time. And we're going to need to grab some more UI elements here. Okay, so we have the time of day and the day of week, so we're going to go ahead and for the day of week, it's going to be this day of week text equals time day of week toString. Not really a better way of doing that. I would like to localize it eventually, but I don't have an API in the game for that. So that should display the day of week, and then the time of day is just going to be the time.toShort time string. I don't think it's working. It's because I didn't assign the references. That's probably why it's not working. At least I'm catching myself when I screw this up. Alright, so let's give this a try. And as you can see, it is 9:04 a.m. on my save file. Except, weirdly, it's not ticking the clock. It should be ticking the clock, but it's not. I wonder why. And yeah, it should definitely be ticking the clock during the game being active like this. It's fine that it's not. And the reason it's probably not is because the desktop isn't loaded. And I think the desktop is responsible for running the time update in the game, which is something I might have to fix. But at the same time, this is totally fine because we're not actually, in terms of UI and gameplay, we're not logged into a session yet. So, although our save file is loaded behind the scenes, we're not actually in-game. So this is completely fine that it's acting like it's paused. So I will not treat this as a bug. It's just going to show the time of day when you actually start the session. Or when you actually load in the save, and, you know, you start the game, and it'll start ticking the clock. Simple as that. So that's a start. We have our time of day and our day of week. That's basically where we want to leave it as far as adding time to the whole lock screen UI here. Okay, so we have time of day. We have prevent deleting of... Okay, this is all account list stuff, but the next things that we need to do that I forgot to add to this list at 2 a.m. last night is add player stats to the lock screen. Name avatar. So we can do that real quick. So, how do we do this? Well, first, I need to create a spacer. Alright, where is create empty? I cannot read it. Oh. You cannot have an animated avatar in the game. As far as I'm aware, Unity doesn't actually support that in... I'm sure I could come up with a way of implementing it, but honestly, you can't pick your own avatar. Like, you cannot upload an image into the game. I am not going to allow anyone to mess with shaders in this game as avatars, because that's weird, that's drunk, I don't know why anyone would do that. Anyway, we're going to use this layout element here to create a little spacer vertically. Now, a UI designer might want to come in here and mess with it a little and mess with the spacing, but for now I'm going to do 50 units and it's going to be fine. So that's going to kind of offset the time up a little bit. And what we want to do now is we want to grab that avatar prefab. And just kind of place it in here. And it's going to be centered, and I'm going to increase the size of it a lot. to about, I'd say 72 might be good. Yeah, that looks pretty great. So, we're going to take the day of week, we're going to duplicate it, call it account name, and set the place order to account name. I'm going to set the font size to 16. And I'm also going to want to use that spacer again to give a little bit of space between the account name and the avatar. So I'm not going to give it 15 or 50 units because that's a little much, but you know, something like 10 should be fine. Just enough so that they're not rubbing up against each other, like so. So we have our avatar and our account name. Now let's get that set up in the code. Oops. So first we're going to do image for the avatar. And text mesh pro UTUI for the account name. Okay, so we're going to assign those references before I forget to again. So we'll give avatar image to the avatar right here, and account name to account name. And since avatars aren't implemented yet, we're going to ignore that for now, but we're just going to have the UI there. But inside of update lock screen stats, we're going to do this account name text is equal to this current, whoops, thus, this, what the hell? This dot current profile dot player name. So let's see if that works. And it looks like it. So we get 9:04 a.m. We have desire to leave. And it's displaying the time of day. So now what we can do is we can add another spacer. Oh boy. And I'm going to add a horizontal layout group. For the lock screen buttons. Actually, I'm kind of thinking, you know what, we're gonna, it can always be polished later, so I'm not gonna worry about how good this looks. But we are gonna disable that, enable that, enable that, enable that, enable that, there we go. We're gonna make sure that everything's aligned to the center and middle. And I'm gonna have 5 units of spacing, and I want to grab a button switch user And I'm going to set up the basic template for this. So for button style, I want to make sure that we are not using normal, we're using yes, I do. So we're going to do small for the button size. And I'm going to duplicate the button. Log in. And I'm going to make sure I set all the text properly. Switch user. Log in. Right, so now we have these two buttons here. You log in, or you can switch user. Now, I want it to look a little better, but these buttons will work fine. They're just standard socially distant UI buttons. But they don't really do anything right now, do they? That's a problem. We need to make them work. Now, the switch user button is easy. No, you cannot. So the switch user button is easy, but the login button is kind of more complicated. We technically already have all the code in place for the login button to work. Yeah, this is gonna get annoying. Alright, so we're going to now add the login button.
Nothing you can get into, mister. I cleaned it.
Okay. So, we're going to drag the switch user button into the switch user field. And the login button into the login field. There we go. So now we get to set up the events for it. So under start, we're going to do this dot login button dot on click add listener, and we're going to do this dot confirm login, and this dot switch user dot on click add listener, this dot switch user. That method doesn't exist yet, but we'll create it. And we're going to do this dot view profile null, which is going to unload the current profile and switch us to the account select screen, hopefully. Alright, so let's test out the login button first. And it works! So we can log into the game. Great. Awesome. We can log out. Switch user. Takes us back here. Great. Only problem now is this button now it doesn't do what it's supposed to. So we need to fix the account list buttons. Tobias, I have been socially distant since before socially distant was a term. Anyway. What we want to do is this button has a listener on it, and this listener is not what we want it to be. We want it to instead be one that calls view profile for the profile that's linked to the button. There we go, that's all we needed to do. Slight problem with this, though, is this is going to cause a memory leak. It's going to cause an event handler leak, is the problem here, but we'll worry about that later on in development. It's not going to cause too much of a problem, but I am aware of it. Either way, what should happen now is we should be able to switch user. It, unloads the save file. We click desire to leave, it loads it back in. We're good to go. And you can see that it's 9:13 a.m. because the desktop did tick up the clock. And this also means that, when we log out, we can actually go ahead and tell the game to advance the clock forward by a set amount of time. We can do that now. It's...
Jesus Christ! Don't fucking do that to me again! Fuck!
Alright. So under logout controller, this is a little tangent, but I want to get it done. What I want to do is, right before I save the game, what the hell is going on in the background? I have no idea, I'm just ignoring it. Most likely what happened is our cat did something really dumb. Alright. It's good to know the mic picked that up. Anyway, we're gonna advance the game's clock forward. Oh man, I just realized, it's a bit weird because lately I've been watching WAN Show, which is a stream that Linus Tech Tips does every week, and it's become so corporatized over the years because they are a corporation at this point, Linus Media Group, and they're kind of huge, and I remember a time when that was not the case, which is weird. Anyway, we're gonna grab the current time, and we're gonna do a little bit of logic here. There's gonna be some nuance to this. If the time.minute is not 0, then time.minute becomes 0, or not. Add minutes. Could I theoretically do... $60 minus time.minute? It's annoying that I cannot remove a minute. Okay, so that should advance it to the next hour. And then we can do time equals time.add hours. Six. And then we're gonna do society value world state current time equals time. It's probably not going to work because of how it works. Yep, that is exactly the case. World state. Alright, so this will update the world time. Now that should advance it 6 or 7 hours forward. And the reason I'm doing the thing with the whole minute and stuff like that. Wait, Ozzy, one of your favorite animators. Are we thinking of the same Ozzy? Does he happen to be an orca? Okay. That worked. So it's now 4 p.m. on Wednesday, and when we log in, 7 hours later, it should be 11 p.m.? I did it! I made the time advancement work. It works! Awesome, so now what the game does is not only does it advance the time forward, but when you log in, you're always gonna start at a 0 minute. So it's never gonna be like 7:17 p.m. or 4:20 a.m. or anything like that. It's gonna be 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 a.m., whatever. Alright. Okay, so now we've added the player stats, we've added the time of day, and now we need to add the ability to delete save files. Now this is kind of complicated because it's a lot of programming that we're going to need to do here. But that's okay, because I'm a programmer and I can do this. It's very egotistical of me. Anyway, what we want to do is, inside of this user account profile thingy, I want to be able to delete the account, and I can do that with a button, an icon button, if I can find one. Icon button. And I think we have a trash icon in the game. If not, then I will think of something else on the fly here. We do not have a trash icon. Wait, we do. There's a delete button. There we go, that's... yeah, that'll work fine. And... going to set the button size to small. There we go. And I'm going to set it to danger. I probably might delete the actual background from it. I don't know how icon buttons are going to look in the final game, but for now we'll let it be how it is. And so that annoyingly doesn't actually align it to the right, but we have a delete button that we can click on. Now why is it not adding to the right? That's because this info section is not set to force expand. I was thinking of the Aussie that is the lead modeler at Trixel Creative. Alright, so this delete button is still a little egg, but now it's in the right spot. So we have a delete button, that's all well and great, but here's the problem. We don't have any script for it. So now we have to completely program that ourselves. Okay, so we have a delete button. Whoops. Player manager. So this is going to give us access to the current player, which is different from the current operating system context, but just ignore that. We're going to use the player manager to get access to the window manager and be able to display a pop-up when we click the delete button. Okay. So the way this is going to work is we're going to start with the delete button and adding an on-click handler to it. And we're going to create a pop-up. Whoa. Pop-up, it's pop-up info. With title, delete account, with message. Are you sure you want to delete profile.player name? All data and progress on this account will be lost. This action cannot be undone. And now we're going to do, whoa, why is there two? We're going to do pop-up add button. New pop-up button. So the text is going to be no. And for the color, I'm going to do button color. The game's been in development for, like, active development in Unity. It's been 1.5 years at this point. Okay, and then the next button we're going to do is yes, and we're going to do danger, and then we're going to do player manager, value, window manager, no, not window manager, pop-up manager. I mean, this code base has definitely changed a lot since last year, but it's been worked on for a while. Oh, does this return anything? It does not. But either way, this is going to create a pop-up for us. Problem is we don't have a way to actually, you know, get a result from the pop-up. Right now, I am in fact the only programmer on the team, and I am also the main lead team member. But there are other team members. Just I'm the only one that writes code. But yeah, anyway, this is problematic because we do have this pop-up here, and it looks great, but it doesn't do anything useful. None of these buttons actually do anything, they just close the window, and that's because we're missing APIs. So what we're going to do is pop-up state, pop-up state equals, and then that's going to be what this method returns. There is a Discord server for this, and I believe it's linked in the description, but if it's not, then I will send a link in the chat. Alright. In that case, I will send a link, and I will make sure that in the next streams that I do, the Discord link is actually there. I'll send a link in the chat eventually once I've figured this out here. Oh, alrighty then. I think... Wait, did you send it in the chat? Because it might have got filtered. It might have gotten filtered by YouTube because of spam detection, but... Tell you what, one moment please, I'm gonna go stand by for a sec, and... Alright, then Tobias has got this figured out. I will create a page on the game's website that allows you to join the community. It'll be a redirect link, so there's that. That was a complete oversight, but yes, there is a Discord server for the game, and I announced a lot of things there, so you should join it. Anyway. Okay, so, pop-up state. Pop-up. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do this... Alright, so at has result and result, these are going to be IDs for the buttons, and has result is going to be something that I check in a coroutine. I'm not doing this in an event-based manner because I don't want to. So wait for result while has result be able to return null. So that's going to wait until has result is set to true. And we're going to say this dot result equals I for the button, and then this dot has result equals true. So when we click the button, it will save the ID of the button into the result variable, and it'll say, hey, we have a result, you can stop waiting. And now I just need to add a property here. So that's going to give us our properties there. Now we can just expose them through pop-up state. And then I can set up the coroutine. Okay, so that is all we need to get the pop-up to actually give us a result. We wait for it, and then... or we can wait for it through a coroutine, or we can just check it every frame. The only problem with this is... we need to make sure that we do not allow a coroutine to get stuck. So if we destroy it and has result is not equal to true, then we need to force the result and just say that we haven't clicked anything, which is the -1. And that just handles cases where the player hits the X button on the window instead of the button that I want them to hit, which would be yes or no. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the user account here and make sure that I fix up that delete button. Alright. We're going to start a coroutine, wait for pop-up result, passing along pop-up state. And what we're going to do here is we're going to check if the state button result is equal to 1, which would be our yes, because if we look up here, we're adding 2 buttons, and the second one is yes. And in C# and many other programming languages, 0 is 1, 1 is 2. What I mean by that is these indexes are 0 based. 0 is always the first item. So 1 is the second item. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a simple event. So this is going to be an event handler for when we confirm a delete. And what that's going to do is the main menu is going to take that option, or that event, and say, hey, I'm going to delete the save, and I'm going to refresh the list, and if I run out of save files, I'm just going to go ahead and force this into create account. So, pass the profile along so it knows what to delete. Alright, so that's our simple little pop-up system that's going to work, hopefully. Let's test it out. So we hit yes, and it should request a delete, but obviously that doesn't do anything because there's nothing listening for that request. So let's make something listen for that request. So what we do is we go main menu controller, and when we start actually listing profile buttons, we're going to say button delete, or not. We're going to say user account delete requested handle account deletion. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, society, profile, okay, we don't have any method for deleting profiles. We will have to create a method for deleting profiles. Alright, so deleting a profile. First we check if the game is active. And if we do, or if it is, then we say, nope, you were not allowed to do this. Invalid operation exception. Cannot modify profile database while a game session is active. That's just to protect against people trying to delete their save file while they are actively playing it. That's just not allowed to do that. Don't. So then we can propagate the delete request into the profile database. Delete profile. And profile database is like basically the very, very core of the game's save system. This is where all of the save data is actually stored. So, you don't want to mess this up. Okay, so, first thing we do is we assert that the profile isn't null. Great. So now, so we have profile data, we have a list of profile data. That's great. What we don't have is a map of profile data to profiles. So that's annoying. We're gonna have to... That's really annoying. We're gonna have to refresh the database every time we do this. So that's great. Wonderful programming. Me, why did I program it this way? Oh well. It's fine. What we're gonna do is directory delete profile path, or not path, yeah, path true for recursive. Populate. What does it take to get it to refresh the database? Alright, I know what to do to remove it from the database completely. What we do is profile data equals this.profiles first, where the ID of the profile is the same as profile ID. There we go. I didn't think about that, but we're going to do this.profiles, remove data, and then save profile data. So that effectively removes it from the database. So let's go up the call stack here and go back to our main menu, because the next thing we need to do after deleting the profile is to refresh profiles. And if we switch users, we get to this screen, we hit delete, we hit yes, and something broke. What broke? I don't actually know. No? Weird. Okay, something's wrong with the pop-up, I guess. Something's definitely borked, and I don't know what. So let's see if we hit this breakpoint first. We do not. That's weird. This is so strange. Okay, we do hit this breakpoint then. But then it doesn't... What is button result? Button result is 2. It should not be 2, it should be 0 or 1. What the hell? This is so weird. Why is it 2? There will not be cryptocurrency in this game. There will be no cryptocurrency, and there will be no NFTs in this game. Because fuck both of them. I am putting that on the record. Absolutely not. Yeah, other than the fact that Tim Hortons is a registered trademark, buddy. Can't exactly, do any trademark infringement in this game. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. I think there's a bug with the... I think there's a bug with how Unity works here, so... we're gonna check has resolved, and we're just going to return null until... Okay! Alright, this is consistently hitting the breakpoint now. And it is returning the correct value. So there was a weird issue with how Unity handles... yeah, see, now we have no save file. Great. And now the game is bugged because we're not supposed to be in this screen when there is no save file. But that's fine. We can fix that. So first thing we need to do is go through the admittedly very broken and awful kind of looking first setup screen, except the end is never the end. Hit next, create an account, next, 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 all that wonderful stuff. Done. Alright, we have a save file. Great, awesome, cool. Log out. And we're back here. So I have my save file. Except that I don't have... So that's a bug. The main menu is completely screwed now. Well, what the hell is happening? Either way, we have a save file. So when we delete the save file, we basically need to pop the user into create account mode. And that's easy to do. If society valued profiles any, so if not, then we're going to do this player manager value oob game object set active true. This game object set active false. And value oob setup. There's no way to initialize it. Great, I will have to figure that out, but chances are this is not going to cause a problem unless you delete an account, go through the out-of-box experience, and then you delete the account again and go through the out-of-box experience. Okay, so 2 p.m. Alright, we're going to delete the account, see if this works. Hit yes. And we get popped into here. Great, cool. Alright, so we're still bugged out here with the main menu, but we restart the game. I know how to fix the main menu thing, though. It's not that hard to do. I have to basically ask the society what the current profile is and tell the main menu to view it, which is a special case, but it's fine. I can do that real quick. Oof. Alright. I want the current profile, damn you, game! Do I not track the current profile? I really should be. Yeah, I don't track it. Why? Alright, so now I do track the current profile. Okay, so that was a little weirdness, but it's fine, we fixed it. But we have a compiler error somewhere. There we go. Now we don't have a compiler error. So now if we delete the profile, we get kicked into... It would help if I click the right button. We get kicked into here, we create the new profile, you know, go through all this. And theoretically, if we log out, it still crashes. Or not crashes, but still freaks out. Why? Is there anything in the console? Nope. could it be... Where am I even looking right now? Oh my god. I hear Nick's kit is alive. Awesome. I am trying to figure out how the hell you create a new game in this game. Okay, create... There we go. I just needed to make sure that I tracked the current profile inside of... inside of society when you create a new game. There we go. Hopefully this is working now. If this is working and you can delete save files, oh my god. Eventually I'm gonna replace this entire first time setup screen. Oh my god. Functionally it works fine, but it's like very crappy looking. Alright, hopefully we log out now, and there we go! Oh my god! It works! It grabs the proper profile and brings you to the correct user interface. And then we switch users, and it lists it properly. Okay, so that's deleting profiles. Now obviously this game supports having multiple profiles, so we need to allow creation of multiple profiles. So we've allowed deleting of them. And we have prevented deleting the currently loaded file. It's great. Now we need an option for creating a new profile. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to find Quick Actions, Edit Main Menu, and we're going to close out a lock screen here, and I'm going to just kind of, underneath user list, I'm going to add a button. It's going to be very temporary. Eventually a UI designer will go in and make this work a lot better and look a lot better. But I'm just going to add a basic button for create new account. I'm going to set button size to small. And we're going to script it all out here. Awesome. that's dealt with. The next thing that we need to do, obviously, is assign an event to that button. Okay. We should now have a create new account button. Don't like the look of the button, but it's fine. It gets the job done. So yeah, it pops us into the out-of-box experience. Now, theoretically, I can go in here and let's put a different name in to differentiate the two save files. Oofy foofles. Why not? Why doesn't tab navigation work in Unity? Oof. At oof PC. There we go. Just realized these buttons don't actually do anything. Alright, I'll go into the terminal, do a neofetch, make sure... Oh my god, what is happening with that button? Or with that cursor? I'm gonna have to look into that, that's... very bugged. Oh my god, what the hell? Why is that... bugged out? Something's definitely not correct with how this is working. This is not how it looks in Linux. I'm gonna say that much. It's like word wrapping when it shouldn't word wrap. Oh my god. What is it doing? It's like there's a whole bunch of new lines that shouldn't be there? I don't understand? That is super strange. Oh well, either way, I know that we're in the right save file. So we log out, and it shows us Foofy Foofles. And if we switch user, it's going to have desire to leave and Oofy Foofles. Now, weirdly enough, we do have a last sign-on, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. Let's check desire to leave to make sure that we are actually or that I'm not actually dumb. No, I'm actually dumb. There is no... Okay, so it's using the created time for last sign-on. That is not how that should work. But you know what? It's fine. Alright, so I can delete Oofy Foofles, and then I'm left with desire to leave. And just like that, everything's working the way I wanted it to. Now, like I said, I didn't intend on polishing this whole UI in this stream. I just wanted to get it working. And it's working really well. It's allowing me to delete and create save files. It's allowing me to, not have to figure out which save file I loaded into last, because it's just going to load in the first one in the database. And we have a gameplay mechanic implemented now, where every time you log into a save, like by the time you're at this screen, you've loaded the game. It's fully loaded and ready to go. You click login. You get into your desktop and you do whatever you're gonna do with that, and you hack things, you play missions, all that stuff. You spent a whole bunch of time in a session. Now it's time for you to log off. And you've advanced the clock forward. And then you can exit the game. And by this point, the game's saved, so I don't have to worry about saving the game on exit anymore, which is great, but it still does behind the scenes. And, you log back in, or, a few days later, you decide to hop on Steam and play the game. It does its little launching stuff, and you're right where you left off. It just works. It feels just like a real operating system now, and that's great. So, with that said, that is the entire main menu checklist done. We have restitched the main menu, so I can actually take that card. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, and drag it to done. Alright, so I can close out of Unity now, because we're done. That was the whole plan for the stream. That's the first time I've actually finished a feature on stream. Wow. Usually I do a to be continued, and then I work on it afterward. But this time, we can say, restitch the lock screen, and we're done. Wow. Fun fact, this whole way of organizing things, with current goals, overall roadmap, and completed, is very similar to how we do it at Trixel, which is why I do it this way, because I'm used to that way of organizing things, and so, yeah. So, basically the way this works, since I'm done actually programming this feature, I'll kind of explain what this whole Trello is about. You guys don't get to see it very often because it's private, but I'll give you guys some game dev insight here. The way it works is overall goals, or overall roadmap is like everything that I want to implement in the game to get to the next milestone. Every feature. Now it's pretty empty right now, and I don't know why a lot of these cards are grayed out. I have to look into that. The reason it's empty right now is because I haven't actually moved things out of our game design document into this. So this is going to be like every feature I want to implement in the game over like the next year. Current goals are things we're actively working on. And then like they'll have checklists and stuff like that on them. And then once they're done, we track them in completed so that we know what we've already worked on and we don't have to think about implementing it again. And then there's some other stuff on here, but that's not really used. Anyway. So, we have fully restitched the game's main menu, and I've already, showed you guys what the features are and how it all works. Now, the next stream I'm probably going to do hacking gameplay, but hacking gameplay is going to be something that's Patreon only. The reason is I don't want to spoil gameplay stuff, and hacking is quite complicated, so I don't think that's going to really work well as an open stream, to be honest. But if you guys want to support me as a developer, there's a link in the description below, and you will get access to that hacking dev stream, which will be pretty interesting. And there's also going to be a Q&A section, so if you guys have questions you want me to answer, as long as they're not about Restitch development, you can ask them, and I will answer them on that stream. Then the stream after that, I'm going to be working on probably dev tools or something. I'm not sure. Actually, I can't remember. I'll have to look at my notes. But either way, I announced the live stream schedule on Discord the other day, and I will continue to do that. So, I'm not sure how to end this off. All I want to... I'm not too sure how to end this stream off, but I do want to say thank you to everyone who showed up and decided to hang out. Apologies for not doing streams last month. I explained that at the beginning of the stream. And with that all said and done, if you're not on the Discord already, feel free to join, because it is where a lot of development is discussed and a lot of things are announced. And yeah, we made a freaking main menu that doesn't suck. It sucks less, which is kind of the theme of these builds, and that's awesome. With that all said, as always, I've been Michael. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoy the video, or the stream in this case, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. I did not hit that stream deck button.